Good morning, Hashmians. Let's see our today's objectives. Today, we are going to learn about trade again. Let's review the trade in this video.
Hello students, today we're going to study a very interesting chapter, that is trade. Now before we get into the depth of this chapter and learn all about trade, let me tell you something. Recently a mall opened up near my house. So I decided, why not go shopping to this new mall? And then on my way back home, I took a metro. And then I decided that I should go for a movie, as I had heard there was a new movie that had released and it was really amazing. Now in all this, I had really forgotten that I had to buy grocery that my mother had asked me to buy. And if I had gone home without the grocery, my mother wouldn't have spared me. Then I got a solution. I decided that I will buy the grocery online through the app. Now students, when I went to the mall, I used the debit card to make payments for my purchases. Now when I took the metro, did I take the metro ride free of cost? Of course not. I paid through the metro card. And at the movie theatre, I paid through cash. Now when I bought the grocery online, I paid online. Now what are these activities? Yes, these are the activities related to trade. So what are these activities related to trade? Trade means buying and selling of goods and services for money. Now students, tell me something. Like money is existing in the current time, was it really existing hundreds and thousands of years ago? Let's find out. Let's travel back to the ancient and the medieval period. Students, during that time, man wandered from one place to another. He wandered from one place to another in order to satisfy his wants. His wants, that was roti, kapda or makan. So you see, his wants were limited to just three things: food, clothing and shelter. Unlike us today, we want n number of things at the same time. Our wants are just never ending. Yes? For food, man ate fruits and he ate animal meat. He used the natural resources that was available in nature. For clothing, he used leaves, he used the bark of the trees and he used animal skin. And he lived in caves for shelter. Yes, now over a period of time, man started to realize that he was really fed up of this wandering life and he decided that he will settle down. Yes, and therefore he started growing crops near the house that he used to live. And those crops were enough to feed himself and his family. Now, over a period of time, he realized that he should actually start growing these crops on a larger scale and sell it to someone else. And this is how man started slowly exchanging goods for goods, which was known as barter trade. Now, for example, there was a potter and there was a wheat seller. Okay. Now, the potter wanted wheat and the wheat seller wanted pots. Now, what would happen? Yes, the potter sold his pots to the wheat seller and in exchange, the wheat seller sold his wheat to the potter. Now you see over here, this activity that took place, this exchange that took place between the potter and the wheat seller is known as barter trade. Yes, and it is very important that you note over here that there was no currency used in barter trade. Only commodities were exchanged for commodities. If you recollect, even today we practice barter trade. How? Do you remember your mother buys utensils in exchange for some old clothes? Now the problem here is of estimating a proper price for the commodities as to how many shirts or how many clothes to give up in exchange for one utensil. And this is why the currency was introduced. In the modern age, we see that no trade is possible without the use of currency or money. For example, if you go to an automobile store and you really like this red car, you cannot buy it unless and until you pay money or currency in return. So you see, money or currency is really very important these days if you have to conduct trade. I am sure you have understood the module and it is time for some questions. Students, in this module, we understood the basic concept of trade. In the next module, we shall study how trade originated between regions.
Long video through, right? But you know what is the ideal situation for a country? It's called balance of trade. Let's watch a video.
Now let's try to understand what is balance of trade. Now this topic is very important from examination point of view, and this is also one of the topic of economics. So let's learn this in a better sense. Balance of trade records the volume of goods and services imported as well as exported by a country to other countries. So it is basically a record which keeps a track of trade between two countries. And by trade, we mean both export and import of goods and services. Now there are both negative and positive aspects of balance of trade, meaning it can go in both positive as well as negative value. Let's understand negative first. Suppose if you're importing, that is bringing in a lot of goods and services from some other country, then you'll have to pay a lot of money for that because you're in the receiving end. Now if you're producing things in your place and selling it to other countries in fulfilling their needs, then you're exporting. Here you will receive a lot of money in return because now you are the provider, previously you were the receiver. So far so good, and now understand this. If you're receiving more than providing, which is importing more than exporting, then your cost is going to be more than revenue, meaning you'll have to pay more in importing than earning through exporting. In this scenario, your balance of trade is negative, or we call it as unfavorable balance of trade. Now the same value becomes positive when opposite happens, wherein your export is more than import. Let's quickly summarize this. A negative balance means a country is importing, that is, spends more on buying goods than exporting, which is selling its own goods. Now if the value of balance of trade is in negative, that will lead to exhaustion of a country's financial reserve. If you want to see more of such educational content, make sure you're subscribed. By doing so, you'll get an alert when my next video comes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
So now my little kids, it's time to evaluate. Look through the questions very carefully, okay? Good luck. Bye bye.